Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. If youth knew, if age could. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, make sure that you're not surrounded by fools. When inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it. Love and work, work and love, that's all there is. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Immorality, no less than morality, has at all times found support in religion. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. In the small matters, trust the mind. In the large ones, the heart. A certain degree of neurosis is of inestimable value as a drive, especially to a psychologist. Religion is an illusion, and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. The madman is a dreamer awake. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it, yet civilization could not do without it. I have found little that is good about human beings on the whole. Friendship is an art of keeping distance, while love is an art of intimacy. We choose not randomly each other. We meet only those who already exists in our subconscious. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. The goal of all life is death. What a distressing contrast there is between the radiant intelligence of the child and the feeble mentality of the average adult. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. The doctor should be opaque to his patients and, like a mirror, should show them nothing but what is shown to him. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. Dreams are often most profound when they seem the most crazy. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. Flowers are restful to look at. They have neither emotions nor conflicts. America is the most grandiose experiment the world has seen, but I am afraid it is not going to be a success. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The ego is not master in its own house. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. The ego refuses to be distressed by the provocations of reality, to let itself be compelled to suffer. In mourning, it is the world which has become poor and empty. In melancholia, it is the ego itself. One might compare the relation of the ego to the id with that between a rider and his horse. Analysis does not set out to make pathological reactions impossible, but to give the patient's ego freedom to decide one way or another. Children are completely egoistic. They feel their needs intensely and strive ruthlessly to satisfy them. At the height of being in love, the boundary between ego and object threatens to melt away. The repressed merges into the id as well, and is merely a part of it. Originally, the ego includes everything. Later, it detaches from itself, the external world. There is no doubt that the resistance of the conscious and unconscious ego operates under the sway of the pleasure principle. The ego represents what we call reason and sanity, in contrast to the id, which contains the passions. Neurosis is the result of a conflict between the ego and its id. A transference neurosis corresponds to a conflict between ego and id. The ego feeling we are aware of now is thus only a shrunken vestige of a far more extensive feeling. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. He does not believe that does not live according to his belief. When making a decision of minor importance, I have always found it advantageous to consider all the pros and cons. Everywhere I go, I find a poet has been there before me. Religion is a system of wishful illusions together with a disavowal of reality. Life, as we find it, is too hard for us. It brings us too many pains, disappointments, and impossible tasks. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Words are capable of arousing the strongest emotions and prompting all men's actions.